This is Synopsis, a series of conversations in the framework of Abeceda Institute. Today, here is Mattia Aisemberg-Pham. Welcome to Synopsis, and thank you for taking your time. I would kindly ask you for a short introduction of yourself and of yourself as a composer, also perhaps how you got to being that.
Thank you for the invitation first. I'm Mattia. I'm a composer from Berlin. Also, I was a pianist. I think I'm not really a pianist anymore, but I studied piano and instrumental pedagogy, and then I started studying composition in Berlin, which I'm still doing, and also now music theory. How I became a composer, I guess. So I come from a very musical family. My parents are musicians, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, everyone really almost is a musician, and so it was always a part of our life. I started playing quite early on, first cello and then piano, and I think I always liked inventing music, like just little things, but like little chord progressions and little pieces, and this was always my approach towards an instrument. And also later when I picked up the guitar, it was always not really learning songs or pieces, but of course also doing that in piano, but I liked inventing little things, and I think I decided to do something with music professionally when I was around 16 or 17, and I wasn't really sure what. And then I also got into jazz and did quite a bit of that. And I think then after deciding to study classical piano, which I really wanted to do just for myself, basically, because I wanted to get better at playing piano, but I didn't really want to become a pianist, I think. But during this period, I discovered a lot of music that I didn't know, modern music, so let's say. And I also had very good teachers who were really inspiring, actually, like music theory teachers who were also composers. And I met people that influenced me, and I heard some concerts that were pretty, I would even say life-changing maybe. And then through all these things I chose to, or I actually realized that composing it is what I really want to do. And I think that decision was right, and I've been doing it now for I don't know, like 8 years, let's say. Yeah.
So you speak about invention since the early ages as part of your interest. How do you think of or consider invention today in your practice? Do you still look at composition through that lens?
Yes, I think so. I think that was maybe also a reason why. I mean, now I mentioned that I studied piano, but I guess I thought I had more, let's say, more to say in creating music that was my own, and not interpreting music from other composers, and because somehow I think it just happens more naturally to me, and I feel more, I guess, valuable, or that I do it better than interpreting. And I think composition for me still is just thinking about music and imagining music that doesn't exist yet, and that's invention, I guess.
Right. So what are the thoughts on music that you were thinking today?
So today, so I'm writing my first orchestra piece at the moment, which is very difficult, and I was kind of afraid of that, but it's going okay actually at the moment. But I'm very much at the beginning of the process, and
Is it difficult to perform or to compose or both?
At the moment to compose more, and I think it will be quite okay to play actually, but I can't really say. It's really at the beginning, but uh, I think about that because of course with an orchestra I can't go totally crazy, and we won't have a lot of rehearsal time, etc. But
Fair enough.
but I thought, or at this point, I think about harmony, and I'm doing the harmonic structure, so to say, and but um, actually, I don't know how much I can say yet because or I can just say it and say at the same time that maybe it won't turn out to be this, and these ideas will go away at the end, but it's also a bit, let's say, associated or inspired by a certain tree at the moment, which I don't know what the word in English is, but in German it's Trauerweide, which is like sorrow. Maybe it's something with sorrow in English, but it's these trees that have these long branches that hang down, and the orchestra piece at the moment is partly, let's say, inspired by the movement of these trees with the wind. And I'm thinking a bit how I could, let's say, evoke this movement, but also just the atmosphere of these trees through I mean, now today was harmony, but also the gestures and the rhythm actually. I guess that's what I'm thinking about at the moment.
Is this a compositional process something that is unique to this very composition? Does it overlap in a sense of how do you usually compose? Do you have a certain method to which you follow every time, or does it differ every time? And also, when I listened to and watched 3 very different performances, right? So we can perhaps move on in a sense. When you read, one of them was ensemble work, Hände im Schnee. One was Dunkles zu sagen. It was acoustical instruments with electronics. And then there was the third one, Corpo que suo. Where there's also dance and movement. Maybe one way to ask this question is, what is the same or what is a constant in these different pieces when you compose?
I am asking myself that question as well, but I mean, these 3 pieces are very fresh, and as you say, they're super different. And last semester, I was also for the first time away from Berlin actually in my life. I mean, really living somewhere else. I was doing an Erasmus semester in France, in Lyon, and I'm sure that has something to do with it, but just also me being at another moment in my life, and my music really went in various directions last semester, and I would also generally say that I'm still very much searching for my music. I wouldn't say that I really found what I'm looking for yet, so that's just to say that as well. But I actually don't know really what holds these three pieces together. Like not together, but like what is the constant? Maybe. I mean, I can safely say that I'm very concerned. I mean, it seems like an obvious thing to say, but it's actually for some not so obvious. I'm very concerned with the sound and the how my music affects the senses of the audience, and maybe some kind of sensitivity to the sound and to texture and materiality and harmony in some cases, but also maybe some kind of corporality is a constant, I would say, that
let's go to specific pieces first.
Yeah.
Before that, let's for example start with Dunkles zu sagen.
Mm-hmm.
The voice, I guess, is a part of the fascination or interest in that composition. How did that look like, composing Dunkles zu sagen?
So this was also the first time I did anything with voice, and this piece came about just because I stumbled across a recording of like this recording that is used in the piece on YouTube because this writer I'm using the voice of, Ingeborg Bachmann, is an Austrian writer who I really like and admire, and I was just looking for recordings of hers and found this video where she recites one of her poems, and I was just struck by her voice more than the poem actually or what she was saying. It was just the sound of her voice, and actually also the first time I listened to it, and also actually now I think I listen more to the voice, to the sound and the texture of the voice than I almost don't hear the words or don't think about them, and I wanted to do something with that recording, and I guess then of course then came external things like I had to choose from the instruments for the Bled Contemporary Music Festival, and so that's a thing I couldn't choose, but I'm also quite happy sometimes to get things from outside, and I had different ideas at first how to use a voice recording, which is kind of a big challenge, I think, and I tried many different things of like really chopping it up and making it very unrecognizable, and also, for example, transcribing all the rhythms for the instruments and really making the instruments play a really complex rhythm to imitate the voice and stuff like that. But after trying some ideas out, I came to the conclusion that what was important to me for that piece was to actually try to convey or reinforce the things that I heard in this recording. So that is the texture and the fragile sound, but also this very strong presence of her voice. And I tried to kind of have the same quality of sound in the textures of the instrument and blend it with the voice recording, or like the voice recording that was manipulated, of course, also. But my goal was to actually get the listener into this realm of this texture and this sound world, and then to play the actual recording and to have the listener kind of listen to this recording in this way, in like a textural way. And timbral way, which is actually an impossible thing to do. Like, you will listen to the words in any case, even if you don't understand them. But so it's kind of a bit impossible. But that was the some of the ideas for the piece.
And any responses? Do you trace, like, if this was the intention, do you trace how that's, let's say, what are the responses of people, if it is successful, what you intend to do?
Yeah, actually, I really like, of course, hearing the impressions of the listeners. And oftentimes I'm quite surprised how close they are to what was in my mind while composing. But also, I would say sometimes it's not as important what was my initial idea, or like actually in some of my last pieces, it turned out to be something quite different than what I intended, and that's okay. But for this piece, so this thing I just mentioned, to hear the recording of the voice in a way where you listen more to the sound quality rather than the semantic aspects, that didn't work out for most of the listeners. So quite a few people told me that, for example, the moment the voice arrives, it's like super a very crucial change, and it's very very present and very much in the foreground, and the music goes in the background, and it's a big break in the composition. Yeah, I also discussed that with a lot of people actually, but apart from that, actually, the composition was very well received actually, and I'm quite happy about that. So my friends like it, and a lot of the teachers I showed it to liked it, and even the musicians liked it. Yeah, but do you have what do you think? How did you listen to it, or how was this thing with the voice at the end?
I thought that but also I read the note that you wrote to it. So, and the song. So I was considering the song as a bit of a subject matter, but it did seem clear that it was that the sound before that by the ensemble was the sort of that voice, her voice, perhaps I would think how you hear it in your head, like through countless resonances, how perhaps you could think or experience that sound, and that being the first part, the part where before she starts speaking. That's how I thought. But then also separately, just like a big sound unity, musical unity of, let's say, a limited number of constant sort of waving sounds, waving ideas. Perhaps in your words it would be ideas or qualities, or qualities of what she sounds like, but through the ensemble, through a different medium. And on top of that, more quickly changeable, because there's some things that are very constant throughout the whole piece, and then on top of that, I was tracing that basically those sounds that were changing more and those that were less, and that undertone of less changing sounds, giving it making it very easy to hear, very constant, unified music. This is how I listened to it, and it was enjoyable to hear as well.
Thanks. I mean, that's nice to hear, and I think, or I can just also maybe add that I think it could be even more unified, or like the way into the voice can be even more fluid. I mean, of course, we had very little time, and I also couldn't like regulate the electronics live because I couldn't hear them. And I think, or just to say, in this recording, maybe it's not as fluid as it could be, and also, for example, the things you say also about these things that stay the same. For example, the whole harmony, for example, is basically the same, or like there's these central notes that are the notes that she is that are her speaking voice notes, so to say. And also rhythmical things. Actually, there are supposed to be some moments where the instruments imitate the rhythm, and in this recording you can't really hear some of those things. I mean, the musicians, I really like them, they're really good, but we just didn't have enough time. But just to say, maybe in another version, the transition towards the voice could be even more convincing, maybe.
But then again, it's also, I don't want to sound like that, because it feels like there's an idea of, okay, it should be like this, but actually it's completely up to you what you do with the composition, and in the end, of course, also on the situationality of the practical side. But in the end, if I would only hear that, I mean, anyway, I accept what I hear, and this did feel like one whole thing, even though maybe you had different ideas.
Yeah, thanks.
And
thanks.
Also, I think in the end, musicians in the stage, if you can let go in the performance, there will be things happening that might not be in the score, not merely as mistakes, but also just as responding or being a part of what's happening in the music. So perhaps, because it sometimes sounds like you start explaining, but not just you, also me in different situation or someone else. Like you start explaining, like, oh, this went wrong. What is it really about in the end? I mean,
yeah, no. I mean, I'm okay with this. Like, it's like I said, it actually got very positive responses, and I can't ask for more than that. I mean, that's what I want. So it's okay.
Do you see this kind of work of yours also being performed again?
I actually think I never had, or I had one piece that was performed again. But I think this one I really want to try getting performed again, because I kind of was quite happy with it, and like I said, I'm happy with how this went for the first time, but I would like to see if I have more time with the musicians also and with the electronics, how a different version would sound. And so I will try actually to find some musicians now in Berlin. But before that, I never really tried to get a piece performed again. Also,
Right.
yeah.
Do you keep that in mind? Because in a sense it gives some space for reconsiderations and especially reflections on the base of 2 performances or 3 performances. Perhaps, how does one compose today? Do you think it will only get 1 performance, or will it? Do you consider that as well when you compose?
Not so much, I think, but sometimes, I guess. I mean, if for example, if I would write for a completely strange ensemble or like strange instruments, I think I would consider that. But I don't know. I don't expect it at the moment. Like I write for certain occasions mostly, and I'm very happy about those occasions already, that they are played at one time already, and also, like I said, I'm still so much on a journey, and for the last pieces I wrote, I was always hearing the first performance and the only performance, and of course happy about the performances and somewhat satisfied with some things, but mostly dissatisfied with other things, and just like taking those things as learning, as part of my learning process, and not necessarily needing to hear those pieces again by someone else. But like I said, for this one, Dunkles zu sagen, and actually also for Hände im Schnee, it's maybe the first time I had a different feeling towards that. Like I would really like to hear those pieces again performed by different people.
And next to that, also in the compositional process, what is really important for you, or what do you consider, where do you spend most time, for example, when you compose? You can also speak, for example, on Dunkles zu sagen, or is there something that always takes most of the time, or?
I would say what takes most of the time and most of the effort is something unrelated to composition. Is just like doing it, like believing in it somehow, and not giving up, so to say. Like I think the most time is, or maybe the most effort is really just not thinking all the time this is all useless or this is all bad, and like so. But for the really compositional aspects, again, I think because I'm at the point where I'm trying out pretty different things, and depending on what I do, it's very different what takes a lot of time, because for pieces like Dunkles zu sagen, and maybe a piece before that, like it's called Wo ich glaube zu sein, and basically the pieces before that were quite intuitively written, and I mean, of course, I had some guiding principles and structures, but it wasn't systematic at all, and it was not, I don't know, not, I didn't do it in a formalist way or structuralistic way, and also, let's say, I didn't have many things planned beforehand, before actually starting the writing process. So this is quite difficult because basically I have to make so many choices for every moment of the piece. Of course, again, with some guiding things, but still it's very much going from one moment to the next without really having some kind of a bigger plan. And this was always just very exhausting and or very difficult. In general, I would say for me composing is quite difficult. But now for Hände im Schnee and the piece I'm writing right now, it's much more systematic and
Don't make it too easy for yourself.
yeah, I don't know how other people do it, but actually for most of my friends it's quite the same, I think. But anyways, so in those other pieces, I have much more structures and things that are planned beforehand, and there I spent a lot of time, I guess, working on those structures before really going into the piece. And
what does that mean to work on a structure? On an for
I,
example, on a piece.
for example, now for this orchestra piece, I'm really, for example, just writing the rhythmical structure of the piece, and then, for example, for two groups of instruments, I have this one rhythm and the other rhythm, and then doing the same for the harmony. So, yeah, having a harmonic progression, so to say, and of course these things will change in the end, but yeah, I didn't have that really for Dunkles zu sagen, for example. This was more, of course, also for Dunkles zu sagen, I had the poem, which was a big guideline and stuff. But
that's why I ask, because structure and all of these notions, actually terms that we are using, it's everyone still has a bit of unique or a use of their own. That's why I always ask, what is structure for you? What is structure for you in this specific composition?
In Dunkles zu sagen?
For example, the voice, the timbre of the voice.
Good question. I don't know. Maybe
it's more like an assumption, or
yeah.
You know, is it that the structure there, or how does it work?
Actually, now I'm asking myself if it's even that structured as a piece, but like what I can say with is like quite a bit of which is quite clear, is that this thing that I mentioned, that the pitches are quite structured in a way, because they all come from this voice recording, and they are literally the melodic line of each of the verses she recites, and this is present in all the instruments, and of course in the electronics as well. And I don't know if I guess that gives some kind of harmonic structure. And the rhythmical structure actually, the idea was to make the instrumentalists kind of imitate the speech rhythm in a kind of a not free way, but in a not notated way. But I asked them to listen to it a lot.
Listen, right?
Yeah, and
Right.
to embody the rhythm that they hear, and to try to recreate it. So that should give it some kind of rhythmic, like loose rhythmic structure, because they basically play a canon of that all the time. But yeah, a lot of the structure came from the poem. So like a very in a very simple way of like taking the amounts of syllables, or I don't remember, like or verses, and structuring the music in some way parallel to that. Also with for example, the strophes. The piece has I don't remember now, 7 strophes maybe, and my piece has the same amount of parts, and the lengths are kind of similar to them, and so that's was a very simple way of just how do you say, like transpose the structure of the poem to the music. Yeah,
I'm curious. I guess it's all these things that you think of, but not in these terms, but you're just, because once what I see now is that you actually have it ordered, all of these answers, but in a very unworded way. And
what? Sorry.
Unworded. You're wording it now, and even though you worked with it, even though when you were composing, you obviously somehow were working with all of these aspects.
No, I actually, I think I forget actually. And I was also talking with this about this with my teacher, and because I was saying the things I also mentioned here, that I compose very intuitively, and I lack some structures that help me compose, and but actually I do often have some things that I that I structure beforehand, and or that I choose beforehand, and all those things I mentioned now, I really thought of them in the same way I worded them now when I was composing. But yeah, so maybe I forget, and still it's I don't know. I guess I always imagine composers being much more I don't know, structured than I am, and or maybe more like calculating more. I don't know. Somehow in my head, I'm quite intuitive, and I think I am, but maybe not as much as I think.
Don't get me wrong. My point was, even if you never would have thought about this,
Yeah, no, but
it's just, I guess, the way you compose, and perhaps you forget them because they're just not important to you in
exactly.
that
No,
context.
they are not.
And then also the question of intuition. How does do you ever think of where is the beginning of or I found a good expression to ask this. Where's the first tangible point of an idea or intuition that you encounter in the compositional process, or where does it first express? Where are those points?
Yeah, I think intuition is a huge topic. I don't even know how to tackle it anymore, but because it yeah, I mean, it's just really hard to know what that even means, because even when I make decisions that let's say are for some kind of system, or like for some kind of structures in a piece, those decisions also come from somewhere, or like it's not like they're not intuitive. I mean, anyways, that's a big topic, but for this, I would say in this piece it started just again with this recording, and for example, already the reaction I had to this recording is intuitive, I guess, or I couldn't. It just struck me, and I wanted to do something with it, and I was moved by it, and then I guess a lot with all the sounds I choose and all the textures and harmonies. It's very intuitive. It's just what I gravitate towards, and I can't really control that, and it's often quite difficult for me to answer that question. I think I don't know where like the initial ideas of a composition really come from sometimes, where it starts. Yeah, I don't know if that was an answer to, but yeah.
And anyway, I'm always asking about beginning and starts. Sometimes I'm also reminded that perhaps it's a continuum of something that does not just start somewhere. That's my thought and my experience of considerations of beginnings. Well, I cannot help but return to something you briefly addressed earlier, hence you stopped yourself from going there, but I have to ask, like, I believe you were addressing the purpose of the whole thing of composition, of composing, why to even do it. So I cannot ignore that, and I have to ask, why to compose, actually? Why do you, let's say in really funny, direct term, why do you compose?
Oh man.
Sorry.
We actually had a seminar called that. I'm like, why do we compose? Like, I mean, I think it's an unsatisfying answer, but just to say, because it's, I think, the simplest but also the truest answer is just I don't know, really. But
you still do it.
Yeah. But I don't really know. I mean,
I'm provoking.
yeah, of course. But and also just to say what I mentioned before was I mean, of course it's linked, but it was less with why I compose, or why one should compose, more than like thinking it's not good what is in front of you at the moment. But anyways, so I think
It's in those moments that you ask yourself.
Yeah. Um, I think I I just first of all enjoy creating something, and I guess it could be other things, but I somehow grew up doing music, and I think it's the thing that is the closest to me and the most natural to me somehow, and that I'm maybe better at than, I don't know, painting or something, but I would just maybe just as much like to create paintings. But so I guess there's just
They're
something.
more tangible, huh?
Yeah, exactly. That's why. But I guess there's some kind of importance to me just in the act of creating something, and also I do think it's some form of communication, of course, and or not, of course, but I do think it is in a way, um, and I like this way of communication maybe, and um, and also actually I think a lot of things I do in my life I just want to imitate things that I like, um, or people that I like actually, and so um, yeah, I think most of the things I do only because at some moment I saw someone doing those things and I liked it and I wanted to do the same. So I just love music, and I love so many compositions, and I try to do the same, like creating a composition that would have the same impact, maybe, or yeah, something like that.
Right. Favorite compositions, favorite composers?
Um, um, I mean, of course, that's again a super difficult question, but
Or just is there also when speaking about one's composers, one's relation to other people's works, other
yeah,
people's compositions? Um, is there a person, a composer, another artist that you haven't mentioned yet that you look to, perhaps reference or perhaps study, and
hmm
you know it impacts what you do?
yeah. Um, okay, I could have a huge list, but let's say also because, for example, yeah, this is one example of a composition that was impactful also in my trajectory as a musician, and to decide to actually try to be a composer was Griset's Les Espaces Acoustiques, because I heard them live in Berlin when I was quite young. I mean, a couple of years ago, and I was completely flashed. I didn't know at all this kind of music, and it was like alien music to me, and I was so fascinated by it. And this had a big impact, and I still really like Griset, and also did my musicology bachelor thesis about on his last piece, and I'm a huge Ligeti fan, of course, and also just the first moments I discovered modern music, which is kind of surprising how late I discovered it, even though I come from a musical family. But it started with Schönberg and Webern and Berg, so those were also for a time really important to me. And um, I don't know, now I would say sometimes actually some artists from other art forms are even more influential maybe to me, like painters or maybe even writers sometimes. Um, and but yeah, and for music, of course, I could also say I don't know, Schumann and Beethoven or Mahler Ninth is one of my favorite pieces. I mean, uh, yeah, I had, yeah, I could have a long list.
Mhm.
What would you answer to that? What's your favorite?
My favorite pieces and compositions. I guess it's on the air. I discover a piece and then I just listen to it on and on. Right now it's Chopin's Andante's Pianato. It's just like Chopin, most beautiful thing in the world. Otherwise, some live composers, for sure. I am biased towards compositions that I've performed.
Okay.
So it's that experience. Like this year in the festival, very early in the festival was Darcy Copeland's Chimera, or
yeah.
A pieces of the solo flute repertoire, like Claudia Sofia Alvarez Cuba's Mantra, Lojza Lebic, a Slovene composer, modernist composer, April Vignettes, and Alistair White, also a composer in residency of Abeceda for a couple of years already, and his primarily the pieces that are very, very well written out in a classical traditional sense, like against music, and then in terms of going back, would be Ligeti, especially, what was the favorite? I cannot remember now. And Stravinsky, Sacre by Stravinsky. Also Tombeau de Couperin by, is it Ravel? Yeah? I forgot already. Yeah, and Mozart and Bach and Haydn and so on. Verdi. Verdi String Quartet.
I don't know that one.
That's a big one.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just goes one piece after another. I feel like I'm aware I'm very uneducated, just because of not studying properly in even canonical pieces. But yeah, it's like one composition at a time, still discovering the classical masterpieces, as well as then looking through all of the new contemporary works, especially of composers that I have a privilege to speak with in these conversations. But back to your compositional practice, we are approaching the conclusion of the conversation. So I wanted to like before the final remarks and final messages that I will ask you for, briefly about the future. What do you see in your future as a composer? Perhaps what you want to achieve, if there's a general goal, or if you please, just the next thing that you're looking for, that you're composing, but you already mentioned that's also.
You're asking really the big questions. What I want to achieve. I don't know. I think, like I said, I'm very much still searching, and I hope to maybe at some point actually somehow think that I found something without stopping to search. So I want to continue searching then, but to somehow feel like I found something more personal, I guess, which I think I'm getting closer towards. Then maybe something concrete that happened last semester as well was just kind of discovering dance, contemporary dance, and I hope to do more projects with dance, and actually I opened up a bit more to just doing more interdisciplinary things. So yeah, I'm doing this project with a dancer now, and also planning to do something with a artist friend, like visual artist friend. So maybe I will do more those kind of things, and
like the corpo que.
Corpo que soa.
So it's Portuguese.
It's Portuguese.
Ah.
The dancer Sofia Pinho. I mean, it's not just the dancer; it's also her piece. It's our piece. We will do this piece next year, and we're still working on it.
How large will be the piece in its final form?
Sorry?
How long? What is the duration?
It's quite long, actually. At the moment it's half an hour, more or less.
Okay.
Yeah. I just sent you very short snippets, but it's very slow, actually, and very just very slow, and what can I say? Yeah, so I hope to do more interdisciplinary things maybe, and I can say that at the moment, at least my music is going also in a much more harmonic direction. I'm much more, I guess I was always concerned with harmony, but it becomes more and more important or detailed maybe, and I think that's something that will just continue, and I'm writing a viola piece for a friend with electronics again. This is also a new thing, actually. Dunkles zu sagen was my first piece with electronics, so I think I will also try to continue doing that a bit, but I think not that much, actually. I think I'm okay with just instruments as well. Yeah.
Perfect.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, then to something to keep an eye on. And then to the final messages, I always ask composers in synopsis is to conclude with 2 messages. One for any aspiring composer. It does not have to be advice, it's more like a message or whatever you feel you can say. And again, with awareness that yes, you are also a composer in development, nevertheless, for those. And second message for anyone that will listen to your pieces after this conversation.
That's also a good question. What would I say to a composer? I mean, I want to say, like, I guess try to get rid of as most of like things that are imposed from somewhere or something or some people, and or like try to think a lot about those things. What you do because you learned to do them, and you are used to do them, and you saw other people doing them, and asking if that's really what you want to do, and I guess finding out what you really want to do, or what comes from yourself really, and not from any influences. And I mean, maybe at the end, of course, the question is also what really actually comes from you. Maybe it's nothing really, but I guess in a more general term is, and I see that quite a bit, also going on courses with many composers. I guess just be very conscious of what you do, and very critical of what you do, and question all the decisions that you make, and other decisions that you don't make, actually, that you just do without questioning, and yeah, be conscious then also of being unconscious. So, I mean, but of course I don't want to say everything has to be like super cerebral, but I guess what I like to do is try to be very conscious about what I do and why I do them, and then also being consciously unconscious is good. And then for the listeners, for my pieces, actually I was also thinking it's a bit maybe not super practical, because the pieces we talked about are not online yet, but maybe they will be soon, I don't know. And what was the question? Just what I
for
say
any
to the
listeners, for any listeners, let's say a final note for anyone that will listen to your
okay.
pieces after this.
I mean, thanks if you do, and and just I don't know. I hope you are open to listening to them, and I would be very interested in knowing your experience of them. So yeah, they can comment or write me. I am always happy to hear the reactions to my pieces, and yeah, that's it, I guess.
Perfect. Mattia Aisemberg-Pham, thank you for sharing.
Thanks for inviting me.